Florida's famed Treasure Coast. A body is found in a garage.
Initially, when I got the call as a rescue run, didn't anticipate what I saw.
It's ruled a homicide, and the police have a confession. An open and shut case until Dr. Henry Lee comes to town. In Port St. Lucie on Florida's famed Treasure Coast, police had been called to the home of Stephen Haines, where his severely bruised body was found in the garage of a blood-spattered house. His fiancée, Susan Barrett, had confessed to hitting him with a bottle, and she was charged with his murder.
When the medical examiner did an autopsy, the death was ruled a homicide. The medical examiner concluded that Mr. Haines had died from blunt trauma administered through a severe beating.
But Susan Barrett denied having hit Haines hard enough to kill him. Her attorney believed her and turned to Dr. Henry Lee to determine what the truth was. It was one of the bloodiest crime scenes Dr. Lee had ever seen. But despite the blood scattered throughout the house, Dr. Lee immediately noticed one specific type of blood drop in every location. Dr. Lee knew that the hollow ghost drops occur when someone is coughing up or vomiting blood, and he found them in nearly every room of the house. To recreate the chaotic spatters and smears of blood at the crime scene, Dr. Lee returned to the house a few days later with Tim Palmbach, director of the Forensic Science Program at the University of New Haven, to reconstruct what the police had found when they arrived. Dr. Lee used an eyedropper with the blood and air mixture to recreate the blood drops in the crime scene photos.
Those blood, as you can see, have air bubbles in there. Hollow center.
The hollow center drop had a special meaning in forensic investigation. 36 years ago, when I investigated a case, I started learning this phenomenon. Subsequently, we did a lot of study on those similar cases. We found the hollow center blood do give us a message. It shows me this individual coughing blood, vomiting blood, walk around.
It's the first solid evidence that the victim wasn't simply bleeding from his superficial wounds, but as a result of some deeper medical problem. Because some shards of glass lay on top of blood smears and drops, the blood had to have been there before the bottle broke, further corroborating Susan's story. Using an associate to stand in for the deceased Stephen Haines, Dr. Lee reconstructs what more than likely happened in the garage that caused Haines' death. Dr. Lee believed that Haines had first stumbled and fallen near the platform and hit his face, causing the cuts on his lip and above the bridge of his nose.
Got to this final location and still coughing some blood. That's why we see some air bubbles with some diluted blood.
In one crime scene photograph taken of the kitchen counter, Dr. Lee noticed rotten bananas. This reminded him of a case that he had very early in his career.
When people become a chronic alcoholics, the gun cannot hold the teeth, the bone, cannot chew anything hard. They usually buy banana, put on the windowsill, let it rot. Them eating the soft bananas.
Everyone knew Stephen Haines had a drinking problem, but the bananas suggested an advanced stage of alcoholism. Haines's alcoholism would have affected his blood chemistry and might account for the volume of blood found.
He had bruising on the body of the type that we see with people who are semi-conscious or not controlling themselves and are subject to falling. He was also clearly in liver failure, which to me would indicate that we should look very carefully at whatever injury patterns he has to see if these were inflicted by others or could just as well have occurred in the course of him stumbling about.
Susan Barrett was free. The homicide case that was never really what it seemed was over, thanks to expert interpretations of a complex crime scene.
The 21st century criminal investigation is based on information. Information basically let the evidence speak for itself.